Well, Week 10 is finished, along with the Philadelphia Eagles' perfect season.
Commanders have won this game, and Taylor Heinicke can celebrate a big road win here in Week 10.
Philly aside, it was pretty tough sledding for all the parties involved this week, as the TPS experts barely edged out a 500 this week, landing at 7-7. Meanwhile, the world stumbled, hitting just 6 of 14 picks. However, the TPS fans did come up big with your shocking dog of the week, backing Jeff Saturday in his new role as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, which means that we are in fact giving out a prize this week. It's just one, because we hit our lock of the week, but congrats to MTI2254 for keying in on that Titans-Broncos snooze fest of a game and accurately predicting a 17-10 Titans win. Not to mention some brownie points for predicting a game-ending Russell Wilson INT. As far as everybody else is concerned, don't worry, you'll have another chance to win this upcoming week. So just make sure that you, number 1, are subscribed to our channel. Duh. Number 2, like this video. Number 3, comment below with one exact score prediction and why you chose it. Now, let's get into these games. Tennessee Titans at Green Bay Packers. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but the Green Bay Packers, who are welcoming the Tennessee Titans to town, absolutely need to win their game this week. But the TPSers are not buying the Packers hype. 84% of you think that even after Green Bay's season-saving win against the Dallas Cowboys, that Derrick Henry and the Titans will march right into Lambeau and take care of business as 6-3 underdogs. There is good reason for skepticism, as Rodgers' squad has been consistently disappointing all season long, but after seeing Christian Watson emerge and the way the entire team rallied against a strong Dallas side with Dak Prescott back, backing Green Bay is just too tempting for us. Our final prediction, Packers take it in another tightly contested affair, 17-14. Chicago Bears at Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are set to host the Chicago Bears, who are coming off another promising performance from Justin Fields and another loss. It seems like the world is liking what it's seeing from Fields in the new-look Bears offense, and with good reason. They've averaged over 30 points during their last 4 games, and they're playing some shockingly competent football. That being said, Chicago is still 1-3 over the stretch, and their defense without Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn is looking eerily reminiscent of a certain European country's cheese. Final prediction, Falcons bounce back from an embarrassing divisional loss to the Panthers and win this one 28-24, keeping themselves in the race with Tampa Bay for the division crown. Philadelphia Eagles at Indianapolis Colts. The Eagles' will to rebound against the now Jeff Saturday-led Colts in Indy. Over 90% of the TPS fans and the experts seem to think that the Hall of Fame center's beginner's luck as a head coach stops this week.
Beginner's luck.
Largely because they're up against a wagon of an Eagles team that has flourished in year 2 of the Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts marriage. A.J. Brown should have no problems against an extremely middling Colts defense that has been absolutely underwhelming so far this season. And that fearsome Eagles defensive line, which is 5th in sack percentage this season, will absolutely feast on the immobile Matt Ryan. Eagles roll in this one, 31-13. Next up, we got the fans' underdog of the week, and it comes in round 2 of this season's Jets-Patriots series. New York will look to avenge a rather disheartening Week 8 home loss to Belichick and co. And the CPSers think that Salah will get that defense up for this one. Enough so that the Jets will get a key win in what has quickly become an exciting 4-team race for the division. While we agree that the defense will show up, Belichick is gonna have his way with Zach Wilson again. Because of the quarterback play, the Jets waste a great performance from their defense and lose a heartbreaker, 14-13. Washington Commanders at Houston Texans. The Commanders are headed to Houston, fresh off their biggest win of the season, a shocking Monday Night Football upset over the undefeated division rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles. To Washington's credit, it was a heck of a team win. Even with a mediocre stat line, Taylor Heinicke was firing the boys up left and right, and y'all think that they'll keep it going against a weak Texans team. If you ask us, though, this seems like the perfect letdown spot for the Commanders. After a big win like that, traveling to Houston on a slightly shorter week to face a Texans team that is coming off a competitive showing in New York, well, Davis Mills hasn't been a world beater by any stretch, but he has done enough to keep Houston in some games. This week will be another notch in his belt, as the Texans take this one 21-18. Los Angeles Rams at New Orleans Saints. Rams at Saints has all the makings to be the stinker of the week, at least from an entertainment perspective. The Rams have deteriorated from having a Super Bowl hangover at the beginning of the season to now being deep into a post-Super Bowl bender. Quarterback Matt Stafford's status is up in the air, and Cooper Kupp is out for this contest, but y'all are still bullish on the Rams to take this one. New Orleans does have some quarterback questions of their own. Can anyone explain to us why Andy Dalton is still holding on to his job over Jameis Winston? Could this finally be the week that they make that switch? Regardless, as far as we're concerned, the Rams are as good as dead this year. This week cements that. New Orleans wins an ugly one by a final score of 20-10. Cleveland Browns at Buffalo Bills. At 3-6, the Browns need to win this game in Buffalo if they want any chance at making a postseason run once Deshaun Watson returns to action. But over 90% of y'all think that the Bills will bounce back after that gut-wrenching loss to the Vikings. And considering both teams' bodies of work thus far this season, yeah, we tend to agree. Josh Allen's health is a looming question mark, but we do believe that the Bills' skid ends this week. The Browns looked pretty broken last week against the Dolphins, and the triumvirate of Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Gabriel Davis should feast on a porous Browns pass defense that ranks in the bottom half of the league. Buffalo rights the ship and snags a much-needed victory at home, 35-23. Carolina Panthers at Baltimore Ravens. Now, our lock of the week. The Ravens to win at home against the Carolina Panthers. And you know what? Nearly 95% of the TPSers agree with this pick. And for very good reason. The Panthers have rallied nicely behind Steve Wilkes and PJ Walker, but the Ravens are a significantly better team. The addition of Roquan Smith has been big for a defensive unit that struggled early in the year. The Panthers will have no answer for Lamar Jackson, especially if Mark Andrews returns from injury as expected. Final prediction, Ravens win this one with relative ease, 27-10. Detroit Lions at New York Giants. Dan Campbell and his beloved gang of lovable losers have rattled off 2 consecutive wins after a 1-6 start, and they're looking to make it 3 in the Meadowlands against the Giants. But both the TPSers and our experts think that the Giants, who appear to be the real deal under Brian Daboll, will take this one. Saquon has been playing like a man possessed, or simply a supremely talented athlete in a contract year, and Daniel Jones makes just enough plays each week to keep the Giants in just about every single game that they've played thus far. Jared Goff has had a nice year, but we think he'll run into more than he can handle going up against a Giants defense that is top 10 in the league by most metrics. This one will be close. You know, like most of the Lions and Giants games have been this year. But Daboll will outcoach Campbell, and New York will find a way to win late, 24-20. Las Vegas Raiders at Denver Broncos. The Las Vegas Raiders are traveling a mile high to play Russell Wilson and the Broncos in our latest true hot seat matchup. Josh McDaniels and Nathaniel Hackett's futures are both very much in question. And another underwhelming showing could be the kiss of death for either of these coaches. The fans are taking the Raiders in this one, but it is far from a consensus pick, as only about 55% of y'all like Vegas. It seems to us like the Raiders, while talented, are utterly incapable of finishing out games. They have blown 2 17-point leads this year. And now, after a humiliating loss to Jeff Saturday, a first-time interim head coach who was in the analyst booth until this past week, well, we see no viable path for Vegas to find its way into the winner's circle. Russell Wilson has shown some flashes of his former self, and Denver's defense is still rock solid. Our final prediction, the Broncos win a game that is equal parts frustrating and boring, 21-20. Dallas Cowboys at Minnesota Vikings. Cowboys and Vikings should be one of the most exciting matchups of this upcoming week. Dallas will look to rally after a heartbreaking loss in Green Bay. Meanwhile, Minnesota is riding high after defeating Buffalo at home in what was the game of the year thus far. Y'all like many to keep the good times rolling, but you know what? We aren't so sure. Dak is starting to look more like the quarterback we remember from before his injury, and that defense has been nasty all year. Besides, it'll be hard for Minnesota to keep its focus after such an emotional win. We see Dak outdueling Kirk Cousins in this one, and Dallas winning a slobber knocker by a final score of 33-30. Cincinnati Bengals at Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cincinnati Bengals are headed to the Steel City for an AFC North matchup. Yeah, that doesn't really have quite the same buzz behind it that it had in the past. After a win over the lowly Saints last week, Pittsburgh is sitting at 3-6, but neither the world nor TPS thinks that the Steelers have what it takes to win this game, let alone make a run at the playoffs. Kenny Pickett has looked okay at points, but he's still very green. Cincy has had an up-and-down start to the season, but coming off the bye and a Week 9 thumping of the Panthers, this could be the perfect formula for a late-season playoff push. The Bengals have missed Jamar Chase, no doubt, but Burrow has enough weapons to hold it down against the Steelers' defense. Even with TJ Watt back from injury, this should be a relatively easy win for last year's Super Bowl runner-ups. Bengals take it by 2 scores, 28-14. Pat Mahomes versus Justin Herbert, Round 5. The Chiefs are 3-2 against the Chargers, and one of the Chargers' wins actually came when Mahomes was out in Week 17 of 2020. The TPSers and our experts think that Kansas City will take care of business against what has been a disappointing Chargers team thus far in 2022. Mahomes has looked like every bit of the perennial MVP frontrunner that he is, and he should shred up an injury-plagued Chargers D. Our final prediction, Chargers come with their postseason hopes very much hanging in the balance, but the Chiefs edge them out by a narrow margin, 24-23. San Francisco 49ers at Arizona Cardinals. Kyle Shanahan's 49ers have been playing some exciting football as of late, and will look to expand their modest 2-game winning streak against Arizona and Mexico City on Monday night. The fans and experts are in alignment on this one, predicting that the 49ers will cruise to a victory on the strength of their offensive playmakers. With the acquisition of Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle now being healthy, they will simply be too much for the discombobulated Cardinals side. On the other sideline, Cliff Kingsbury's team is trending in a different direction. Kyler Murray's status is still murky, and though Colt McCoy did well to grab a must-win game against a depleted Rams team, history has proven that he is not a legit starter in this league. Niners take this one easily, 27-17. So there you have it. That's all our picks and yours for this week. Will they lead to some big prizes getting dished out in Week 11? Well, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, then add your own prediction down below for a chance to win some awesome prizes. And be sure to vote on next week's games right now in our community section. Then tune in next week to see if you won.